So today I'm going to show you a quick video on how I achieve this really stunning but easy look on my sister. The eyes have such a beautiful pop of color, but it's not too much and it's still pretty subtle. So here we go. So I've already primed her eyelids with an eye primer that turns to a tacky matte finish, and I've set it with translucent setting powder. Setting it with a translucent setting powder is going to help you blend your shadows a lot easier. So now what I'm doing is I'm taking a large fluffy blending brush. This is my most favorite brush to blend with, and this is available on my website. And the reason why I like this brush is because it's a lot bushier than most blending brushes, but it's also tapered and has a point in the center, so it helps with blending out that shadow. I'm using the color Astute in her crease and in her outer V of her eyelid. This is going to help just kind of create a very nice transition color before I add any other darker colors to her eyelid. And as you can see, it's very subtle of a color. You can use this by itself, but it's really important when you're trying to create an eyeshadow look that you do use a transition shade. This is going to be the transition that your crease shade goes into, as well as the color that you put on your lid. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a tighter blending brush, and I'm using the shade Gingerly, and I'm focusing this color as it is a darker shade, so I don't want to go as high as I took my transition shade, but I'm going to focus right into the crease and that outer V. This is going to start creating that smoke for her eyes, and it's going to give her eyes dimension. She's got a little bit of a hooded eye, which means her skin below her eyebrow kind of hangs over her eyelid. So I want to bring this up just a little bit. If you have hooded eyes, this is a really awesome trick. You just bring it up, make your own new crease, and it's going to make your eyes appear bigger. You're going to be able to see the eyeshadow with your eyes open. And I'm taking the brush in very small circular motions, as well as making the windshield wiper motions while I do it. So next I'm going to start creating the smoke of the eye. And a lot of times this is the most trickiest part for most people, but this is really simple. So you're going to take a compacted blending brush and your darkest shade you're wanting to use. So I'm using the shade Marvelous. It's a beautiful smoky brown, and I'm going to take it in her outer V of her eyelid, and then I'm going to take whatever is left on my brush. I'm going to bring that right up into her crease. Very lightly am I going in small circular motions and making those windshield wiper motions as I blend it out. But again, just keep packing just in that outer corner, and then you can blend it up into your crease. If you have hooded eyes, this is a really good time to bring this up into your crease. It's going to create even more dimension, as you see here in this video. So when she opens her eyes, even though she has hooded eyes, you're going to be able to see her shadow above her natural crease line because I've taken it a little higher. So this is one of the most favorite tricks I've ever learned in the beauty industry. What I'm doing is I'm taking the eye primer that's available on my website. It's a tacky matte finish. I'm just applying this to her lids. This is going to help grab onto any pigment that I put on her lids. It's going to make it brighter, it's going to let it stay longer, and it's really going to capture how amazing that pigment is. So last is the final part. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to be taking my pinky and dipping it into the pigment that I want on her lid, and I'm just going to pack it right into where I applied that eye primer. So you can see it's already picking up that shade. It's grabbing onto that pigment that's super shimmery. I'm using the shade Worthy, which is also available on my website, and this is a beautiful, almost like a baby canary blue, silvery, gorgeous, yummy shade. And all I'm doing is just packing this into her lid. I'm not going to go any further than her lid because I will blend out that Marvelous shade into that shadow. But I will pack this with my pinky on both eyelids. This is one of my favorite tricks I've ever learned. This just grabs onto the pigment. You don't lose any of it in a brush, and applying it with your finger is going to just let all that color shine. So what you want to do next is just take that compacted blending brush, and you can take the shade Gingerly or the shade Marvelous. It depends on how smoky you want this look. I'm just taking the shade Gingerly, very lightly going in back into her crease, and then I'm going to take the shade Marvelous just to kind of buff it into that blue. And that is it. This is how I apply my eyeshadow. You just use different colors each time. I encourage you to play around with your eyeshadow. This can be sometimes the hardest thing for people to learn and understand, and I've only learned by trial and error. If you have questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments of this video. Be sure to follow me on Facebook so you don't miss any tutorials or lives. And again, thank you guys so much for your support, and I hope this video gave you some value.